We didn't just get one new teaser, we got two new Garden Subfloor teasers for Doors. You heard me right, folks, we just received two brand new sneak peeks for the upcoming Garden Subfloor coming to Doors, and although one is rather straightforward, the other is quite mysterious. Alright, so as you are all probably aware, the next update that will be added to the game will include a new outdoors subfloor themed around plants and vegetation, and fittingly, it is called the Garden. Now, for the past few months, we have been receiving teasers here and there about what will come in this new area. And although we haven't really seen too much in-depth what the subfloor actually looks like, that changes today. At least a little bit. As one of these new teasers actually showcases a brand new room coming in the garden. And what's even better is that the second one, the more mysterious one, actually just may hint towards a brand new entity that might come into the game. Which is definitely exciting. We have got a lot to cover in this video, so with all of that being said, let's begin. Alright, so let's go over the simpler new teaser, the one which showcases a new room that is going to be added to the subfloor. Essentially, recently, the developers commented on how a particular cat, bunny, character thing, I'll just call it a cat, has been appearing in their feed lately, and they decided to post an image of said character. Now, the cat itself isn't what's interesting, that is just some joke which is completely irrelevant to the video. No, what's intriguing is the location where this cat is placed. As you can probably see, the character is standing right in the garden subfloor, or at least a new room that will be inside of it. Now, based on the numerous teasers we have received in the past, we know that the garden will take place outdoors. And this cat teaser image definitely does take place in an outdoors location, as evident by the grass underneath the cat as well as the white flower in front of it. However, how do we really know that this thing is in the garden subfloor and not a pre-existing area in the game? After all, Doors has several outdoors areas, so it's entirely possible the developers placed this cat model in one of those. How are we absolutely certain this is even in the garden subfloor? Well, to answer that question, I just took a look at the structure behind the cat. Judging by the bricks and stone foundation underneath it, the wall behind the cat is obviously meant to be some sort of building. However, what's interesting is that this isn't a building already in the game. Just for comparison, this is what the base of the hotel looks like from the courtyard, which is similar to what is shown in the teaser image. As you can see, both buildings have a completely different type of brick used for the wall, and the stone foundations of each look completely different. As for another comparison, here's what the base of a greenhouse room looks like, and just like with the hotel, the bricks and stone used are completely different from what is shown in the teaser image. Now, I know what you're thinking. Cheddar, it's the castle, you idiot. Well, I checked that too. And wouldn't you know it, but the castle's base is also different in appearance to the base of whatever building is shown in the teaser image. This means that the wall in this sneak peek has to be from a location not in the game yet. And given how the screenshot itself takes place outdoors, this cat is almost certainly inside of the garden subfloor. Now, that's all fine and dandy, but the existence of this wall structure behind the cat actually provides insight into something inside of the garden subfloor that I wasn't expecting. You see, based on the teasers we have received so far, I was always under the assumption that in the garden subfloor, players would be outdoors 100% of the time. Maybe they could walk in hallways like the ones seen in the courtyard, but for the most part we would be outdoors. Now, although that still may be true, given the existence of this brick wall, it's possible that this is part of a building which players would have to explore. What I'm trying to say is that this teaser image implies that some parts of the garden subfloor will probably take place in indoor locations, as well as outside, likely an area similar to the greenhouse where plants and vegetation are grown and stored. And that could definitely be a neat way to spice up the appearance of playing through the subfloor, as we could alternate between being indoors and outdoors quite rapidly as we progress. Other than that though, this teaser doesn't really have too much else to offer, so I think it's time we move on to the next sneak peek the developers revealed to us, and let me just say it is quite a doozy. Okay, now I will take the blame here. This teaser is extremely confusing because I specifically asked for it to be. Essentially, I asked the developers for an undecipherable teaser, and they made sure to deliver on that. This sneak peek is simply just a string of emojis which hints towards a new feature coming in the update, a method the developers have used in the past to reveal new updates. However, all those past times the developers used emojis as a teaser, it was relatively easy to figure out what they meant. The emojis given to us this time, however, are definitely a lot more complicated. We received a rock, an anxious face, 3 dots, and finally a worried face. Now, of course, I am still going to try my best to decipher these, but just keep in mind everything I'm going to say is going to be extremely speculative, as these are pretty complicated. Let's start with the easiest part of this whole emoji string, and that is the rock. As you probably know, in all outside areas, indoors, players can find large rocks as decorations, so I'm assuming this teaser refers to those. This narrows down the possibilities quite a lot, as now we know something is going to happen with rocks, but what exactly is that? Well, my first theory is that maybe these emojis depict a set of actions. Looking at the last 3 emojis, they can be interpreted as a player initially starting out as somewhat anxious, as implied by the somewhat on edge face emoji. The 3 dots could imply waiting for some time to pass, as that is a common association with those symbols. And the last emoji could depict a player not just being anxious anymore, but full-on worried or maybe even terrified. So the last 3 emojis of this teaser could hypothetically tell the story of a player being anxious at first, then after waiting some time to pass, they have become extremely worried. What does that even mean though? I mean, Doors is a horror game. That string of emojis could explain any part of the playthrough. Well, I think this is where the rock emoji comes into play. As we have discussed, large rocks are a common decoration in outdoor areas, so it's likely they will appear in the garden subfloor. But what I'm thinking though is what if they don't stay just as decorations, but instead they cause players to feel the emotions represented in the last 3 emojis in this teaser? What I was thinking is what if, hypothetically, there was some entity which mimicked itself as a large rock or hid inside of one, and it would only reveal itself once players get too close. This would definitely cause players to be on edge whenever they go near a rock, as they wouldn't know if it's just a decoration or if it was secretly harboring an entity. The 3 dots could symbolize the players approaching the rock, or just the time it takes for the players to figure out if the rock is just a normal stone or an actual entity. If it was containing a creature, then the players would obviously turn from anxious to terrified, as now they have to deal with that entity. This interpretation is definitely more on the speculative side, but that's kind of hard to avoid given how mysterious the emojis are. Anyways, to summarize, we received 2 brand new teasers for the upcoming garden subfloor and Doors. One of the teasers showcased a small screenshot of one of the new rooms, and it implies that maybe for part of the subfloor we'll have to travel indoors, given the existence of a building in the background. The second teaser was a mysterious string of emojis, ones which, although are incredibly hard to decipher due to them being specifically designed that way, I interpret it as a hint towards a new entity that either disguised themselves as, or is hiding inside of a rock. Then, when players get too close or after some time has passed, it would reveal itself, and then the players would have to deal with them. All in all though, I'm super excited to see what this update brings to the game, and I do wonder what the string of emojis does truly mean, as my interpretation is probably very off. So, with all of that being said, let me know in the comments what you think of these teasers, and thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.